Hello.
Howdy.
Howdy. Okay. All right.
The howdy's back.
Howdy's back. You reverted back to factory settings.
Yeah, you forced me to.
All right. Welcome to the Well Society podcast.
Did you just forget our name for like a second?
No, I forgot what episode it was.
Oh,
Season 1, episode 4.
4, yes, correct.
Excellent.
Yeah, and this time we got Emma.
Hi.
Just interrupt the intro. Yeah, so we go back like what, 4 years, maybe?
Yeah,
Emma?
probably, yeah.
Yeah, so long friendship there, and Dula kind of knows her through me. I think you guys met one time.
Yeah,
Yeah, just once.
just once.
Great.
This
Memories
is the
for
second
life,
time.
though. I think it was a lasting impact.
It was so random. We like met up and then we just walked all the way to Carlton from the city.
Was it random though, or was it fate?
You might have planned it
I did not plan it. You
because you're like, oh, I'm in the city also. Let me come see you.
I would say it was definitely fate.
See,
Yeah, fair.
Emma knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She knows.
So yeah, we're back again. Over Zoom this time though. But what are you mumbling though?
I said we've always been on Zoom, unless you meant like the three of us, particularly.
Yeah, 3 of us.
Okay.
We actually
yeah,
met
we're back
before.
again. Sorry, I am so sorry.
This intro is taking way too long. Okay. Alright, so yeah, we got Emma on the podcast this time. Alright, we're gonna get into some personal stories about Emma's life, her sort of battle with eating disorders and how she overcame that. So very inspiring story. So we're gonna sort of dive into that. So I guess a trigger warning for everyone, for anyone who is struggling with eating disorders or anything of the sort. You can pause this now and then get some help. We'll leave some resources in the show notes. I guess, Emma, could you give us a quick sort of overview of your battle and history with eating disorder?
Yeah, so basically, when I was like a young child, I was pretty normal. I would say it's quite normal for like a young child to be fussy with food, and I was very fussy. And I was probably like that until around like the age of like 11, I'd say, when I started eating just like so much. I think because my body was like growing and like I was hitting puberty or whatever, and all like my hormones were changing. And I think I just realized, like, oh my God, I'm hungry. And I started eating just like so much. And even then, I'd say it was like pretty normal because I didn't ever have like an afterthought of like guilt or anything. I was just eating to like satisfy my hunger. But yeah, it made me gain like quite a lot of weight from that time because like before my body would have just been used to not that much food because I was just young and really picky. So when I started gaining weight around that age, I started getting bullied a lot, but also I didn't really mind at that time. Like it didn't bother me at all because that just wasn't an issue in my life. Like I didn't care what my body looked like. But then when I got to high school, the bullying like probably got a lot worse. And I'd say for the first like 2 years, I was just eating the same and it still wasn't really bothering me at all. But then the summer between like year 8 and year 9, I definitely developed anorexia. I didn't know it at the time. I just thought like I wasn't very like educated on like how to lose weight properly or healthily, considering I was like 13 years old. I didn't know. And my family never had like a great relationship with food either. Like we weren't like the healthiest of people and stuff like that. So I was kind of doing it on my own. So yeah, the summer between year 8 and year 9, I just was barely eating and I was exercising for probably like 3 to 4 hours a day. And I thought that was like the way you lost weight. But yeah, like thinking back on it now, I don't know how nobody noticed, to be honest, because yeah, I really wasn't eating much at all. And in those 6 weeks of holidays, I guess it is, over the summer, I lost like quite a lot of weight. And when I got back to school, everyone was like, oh my God, like you look amazing. Like it was just like that positive reinforcement that kind of like crept into my brain. And it was like, well, you need to keep doing this now, I guess. So I think that that's when it really, like my eating disorder really like kicked off. And I actually realized at that time that there was something wrong because even like during those holidays and stuff, if there was like, I don't know, say like we had this neighbor who would always like bring over cakes and stuff, and she would like, if like she did that, I would eat it and I wouldn't have a problem. But during like when school started and everyone noticed the weight loss and stuff, I literally could not bring myself to eat anything that was like out of my plan. And I was like, yeah, that's probably not normal. And yeah, I had a friend at the time who had a close relative who also had anorexia, and she like pulled me up on it. And yeah, I was like, I was in denial for quite a long time, but yeah, I don't know. Just that's when I actually realized I was sick, probably. But um, then also that year, I had, because I have quite a lot of issues with like my legs and stuff. I was born with, yeah, something wrong with them. So I needed surgery that year. And I was in a wheelchair for 3 months and I could not exercise at all. So that's when I started, like, that's when I began to like eat less and less. And yeah, basically in that year, this could be very triggering. So hopefully everyone who could potentially be triggered by this has clicked off. But in the first 6 months of that year, I lost around 30 kilos. And yeah, then I had my surgery and I lost like another 10 kilos in like that 3 months, even though I couldn't exercise at all. But I just wouldn't let myself eat much because I was so terrified of like gaining back all that weight and like getting bullied again and like not having that positive reinforcement at school, I guess. Because I finally just like felt accepted because like, I don't know, everyone started being nice to me. And I guess I kind of just didn't want to lose that. But yeah, that
Wow.
was, yeah, I would say that was the start of my anorexia. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So what was the diet like? But I feel like at the start you were really healthy, like eating really healthy, and that's easy to justify as well, right?
Yeah. I basically, well, at the start, I obviously would, like, my body was used to eating a lot of food. So I would still get hungry very, like, regularly, like a normal person would. So I just, in my brain, I was like, just don't eat unhealthy food, just eat stuff that makes you feel good and that you know is healthy. But also at the time, I was really young. So I think I kind of was like very susceptible to like all like the diet culture and media when like they would say like carbs are bad, whatever, stuff like that. And I would pretty much just eat like meat, fruits, and vegetables. So yeah, really just not very good as a whole for your body. But
Yeah.
I would say I was probably eating around like 900 calories a day for like 6 months, and I was exercising like 3 to 4 hours. Like
Wow.
really crazy. Yeah.
Jesus, that's crazy. So that's it's 900 calories, and you're exercising that many hours a day. So you go to school, you come back, and you're exercising, or you just
Yeah. So mainly the exercise started during the school holidays in between year 8 and 9. So I would like go on like a 2 hour walk, and then I'd come back, grab my bike, go on like an hour bike ride, and then I would, pretty iconic, but I would listen to a whole One Direction album while I jumped on the trampoline, and I would not let myself stop jumping until the album finished. So yeah, kind of crazy, but
we got to cancel Harry Styles for this one.
yeah, literally. Thanks for aiding my eating disorder, Harry Styles. Just kidding, I love you.
Um, yeah. I mean, I think
Yeah.
like grades 8 and 9 and like those early years of high school are like pretty tough. I think like
Yeah.
it kind of like reminds me of like stuff that happened to me as well. Um,
Yeah.
like Duma knows like he's known me from like 6th grade, and I guess from like early, I don't know, like when I was like 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
um I was like for like if you compared me to Duma, I think I was like a lot fatter. um Not to be like insensitive, but like if like we were like the same height, and then for a teenager at that age, I think I was a bit heavier, a bit heavy set, even though like I was getting a lot of exercise, and I
Yeah.
felt like people said it was like baby fat and all that. And then eventually, I
Yeah.
guess like 9th grade came, and then 10th grade started, and that's when I actually started like um doing something similar to like what you did. I stopped eating that much. I skipped
Yeah.
meals. Like there were days when I just like ran to the house when my mom would have if she would have made breakfast. I just like not eat, or like I'd fake that I ate it. I just leave.
Yeah. That's like,
Um,
yeah. I did that all the time as well.
the exercise, like I played a lot of football in school, but
Yeah,
like
we did the same amount of
yeah,
things.
and like yeah, like we played the same exact amount. We played the same sports, and
Yeah.
I just come home, and then we had like an empty apartment next door that was still like under construction, and
Yeah.
so I'd sneak in there, either with a football or just like bare feet, and then just run around that, like you, like
Yeah.
listening to music,
Yeah.
do like
Was
laps
it One
around
Direction?
it. Probably there were probably a few of them in the place. I won't lie.
Just Elliot Smith and just crying while
Um,
running.
and yeah, I'd run laps and laps, and I remember like in the span of around 2.5 months, I lost 20 kilos. 2.5
Yeah.
to 3 months, I lost 20 kilos, and I got like super thin.
Yeah.
And then towards like A levels, I was just really thin, and then
Yeah, I remember because you used to send me a video, I think yesterday, and then
yeah,
that was that time, and I couldn't recognize you. You look so different.
yeah, I got really bony, and like that continued like past A levels to the point where like I was focusing more on that than like actual studies.
Yeah. That
Um,
was the same as me.
yeah,
Like in the end, I literally just I didn't even finish year 12 because all I could think about was burning calories and like what
wow,
I was
yeah,
eating. Like I would be sitting in class and I could like see the teacher talking, but literally all that was in my head was like my eating disorder talking to me. Like it wasn't even like there was an outside world anymore. It was just my eating disorder in my brain 24/7.
Wow, because I remember, because now it's coming back. I think I've known you for more than 4 years, right? For like
Yeah.
6 years, because I saw you once in school,
Yeah.
but then after I met you again, like after your recovery, I didn't. You look so different, so I didn't actually connect the two together. Like I didn't know that was you because you look
Yeah.
so different. You look so sick, right? Like you basically like couldn't get up,
Yeah.
right? You're so weak.
Yep.
Wow. And how did I know it escalated, right? It didn't stop there. And it kept
Nah.
getting worse and worse.
I would say like year 9 after my surgery because that was towards the end of the year. Um, yeah, so it got even worse when I was in the wheelchair because I guess I knew there was no way of like compensating my intake. Like I just like in my brain, it was okay if I ate food if I knew I was able to burn it off later, but I couldn't even stand up for 3 months. So I just would not allow myself to eat much at all. But then I guess after I got out of the wheelchair and stuff, I started exercising again. So I think basically because I was just like sitting down for 3 months, my body, I wasn't really exuding any like energy. So I didn't even really get that hungry. But I think once I got up again and started moving my body, I became like just like pretty much ravenous 24/7. and that's probably when like my bulimia started, because again, so like I was used to just not eating much at all. But then I started getting really hungry, and again my brain was like, well, you need to compensate somehow, and like I was eating way more than I used to. So I was like, exercise won't be enough this time, so I needed to find another way out, and that's how that started. But I think that was what I mostly had during year 10, but I did gain like quite a bit of weight back, um, which wasn't a bad thing because I needed to, but it just wasn't in a healthy way at all. And that I would say all of year 10, that's what was like controlling me. And then year 11, it was like half half. Like like the bulimia, like with purging and stuff, it was really kind of, I felt like that took more of a physical toll on me than just like not eating much, because it's actually just like one of the most harmful things you can do to your body.
For
It's
for for
really
people
bad.
who don't sort of know this terminology, right?
Yeah.
So I know you talked about anorexia. Maybe sort of give a quick sort of description of what that is, and then maybe touch on
Yeah.
bulimia as well.
So, basically, anorexia is when you limit your calorie intake like quite a large amount, and most people who have anorexia also compensate for their intake by exercising a huge amount as well. And bulimia is, I guess they're both like, it's both kind of like compensating for your intake, but bulimia is usually um you binge, so you eat a lot of calories at once, and then you compensate by throwing up or purging. And
Okay.
also, some people with bulimia, it's not always purging. Well, purging doesn't have to be just throwing up, it can also be like spending hours and hours and hours exercising. So yeah.
Would they take laxatives as well? Is that
Yeah, laxatives as well.
Yeah, okay. So is bulimia always sort of paired up with binge eating
Yeah.
usually?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
If you're diagnosed with bulimia, it usually means you binge eat and then get rid of it in some sort of way. But there's also an eating disorder, which I probably had in year 10, or year 11, which is anorexia with bulimia subtype. So it's pretty much when you just have both. So yeah, it kind of, I don't know, it really makes your body feel so weak. You get so dizzy, and all your like vitamins and minerals get like so out of whack. So honestly, it's extremely dangerous for your body. Like I've known people who I've met through treatment have like seizures from their bulimia, because I'm pretty sure it's your potassium that gets extremely low. So yeah, it can cause seizures, it can cause like ulcers in your stomach, it can tear your esophagus. It's really bad for you. And also, like, there was a lot of times where I would do it and blood would come up. So honestly, I was terrified. Like, I was so scared I was going to die, because I was also, I feel like when you have an eating disorder, you're just like obsessed with eating disorders. So I would like watch so many documentaries, and I would hear of like the worst stories, like of people dying. And because no one knew at this time and I didn't tell anyone, I like didn't have a doctor to speak to about this. So I was kind of, and like, do me, you know, my anxiety, like it kind of runs away with like any tiny little thing. So I was like convinced I was like going to die pretty much. So in year 11, I kind of made myself kind of stop purging like a lot, because it was happening like multiple times a day. And it was just taking over my life. And I literally like was turning gray. Like I did not even look like a person anymore. I was just like a shell of a person. And so year 11, I made myself kind of stop doing that, which I was kind of amazed that I could just kind of like turn that off. But I guess also at the same time, I wasn't like turning it off to like get healthy. I was just turning it off to like replace it with another eating disorder, I guess. So it's not really that incredible, because I was just harming myself the same way. But so basically year 11, I just kind of started limiting my intake again a lot. And when you're like starving yourself, there's nothing, I don't know, you can't really, you're just extremely depressed all the time because your brain has like nothing to work with and your body is in survival mode 24/7. And that's when I like became extremely depressed. And I think, well, we said we'd talk about this in another episode, but just to like touch on it, that's when I tried to kill myself basically, and that's the first time I got admitted to hospital for this kind of thing. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Which is like which is like interesting. I mean, obviously I know that it's like a big huge thing that's really sad, but also to me it's like so normal. So whenever I speak about it, I get like, it's just kind of like interesting to me like that it like shocks people like this, because in my brain it's just like so normal, it's just something that happened and like it's fine now. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think we gotta sort of state that eating disorder, like eating disorders are, is it anorexia, which is the biggest, like which has the biggest mortality rate of any mental health disorder.
Yeah, that's correct. Mostly by suicide, but also heart failure is a big thing in anorexia.
So is it usually sort of paired with depression as well?
Yeah, I think uh, so. When I first got admitted to hospital, they tried to figure out whether my depression came first or my eating disorder came first, because if my eating disorder came first, the depression would be a lot easier to treat. You would basically just have to treat the eating disorder, and then it would be like a physiological kind of thing that was making me depressed instead of like the actual like mental illness side of it. But yeah, um, basically it's pretty much always paired with depression and anxiety. I think when your body is so starved, you can't think rationally at all, and there's nothing going into you. You have no energy. So I guess like that's always kind of going to end up with you being really depressed.
Yeah, and that's, and that you're right. Your brain can't think rationally, right? Because I know you said before you were scared of dying, right?
Yeah.
And then you also try to kill yourself, like
Yeah.
which to an outsider wouldn't make any sense, but your brain under those sort of stresses kind of somehow rationalizes that whole thing.
Yeah. I think mainly I was like, when I was first scared of dying, like when all the stuff was happening with purging and like the blood was coming up, I don't know, I was mainly scared that people would find out, like they would find out about my eating disorder because I died from it, if that makes sense, because no one really knew at all. And yeah, I was just so scared to like let people down. But then also I think later that year I just became so depressed. I was like so starved, and I genuinely thought that every single person would be like better off if I wasn't here anymore. I thought like people would be sad for like a week or something, but then I thought like genuinely everyone would be so much better off if I just like wasn't around like stressing them out. So I was like really, really sick.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Me too.
super glad. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay.
I know you were talking about people sort of noticing your weight loss and sort of complimenting you about it, and that sort
Yeah.
of positive reinforcement. Was that continuing with time as you lost weight, and did the bullying kind of decrease? And did anyone kind of like realize? Did anyone pick up that you were actually having a eating disorder?
So basically people kind of just stopped bullying me, full stop. And I think at the start, they stopped bullying me because I was kind of just like, I don't know, I looked normal to them, I guess. But then,
Sorry, folks, that's all we got time for in today's episode. Join us next week for the rest of the story. Until then, take care, stay safe.